Thank you for coming out today. I appreciate, I know it's a busy time of the semester. I guess the first question I have is this the right shade of purple and gold? Okay, all right, I tried. They gave me a few topics they'd like me to cover in my open forum. But certainly I want to leave a lot of time at the end for questions that you might have. Start with a little bit about who I am, some of my accomplishments, my managerial style, at least challenges and opportunities that I see for this position and for LSU, at least based on my current knowledge, what some of the priorities would be initially for me, and then try to end up with a summation of at least why I think I'd be a good candidate for this position, for which I'm very excited. First, just a little bit. Stacia went over a little bit about my background, but I'll cover a little bit of this. She mentioned I'm currently Vice President for Finance and Planning at Illinois State University, where I've been since 2009. Prior to that, I was at the University of Illinois in a similar position, and many years prior to that, I was at the University of Wisconsin system. I've also had experience at the state level with the Illinois Board of Higher Education as a Deputy Director for Planning and Budgeting, and then my first professional position out of graduate school was Assistant Director for Fiscal Affairs there many years ago. I have some experience at in the legislative arena as well. Spent some time out in Arizona working on the Joint Legislative Budget Committee as a fiscal analyst. And when I was actually at Florida State working on my doctorate, I had the ability to serve as an intern for the Appropriations Committee in the Senate. I've also been in the private sector as a consultant. Just again, what my education background is. A little bit about who I am personally. Even though I've lived all over, I'm an Illinois native. Lived there for the first 23 years of my life. My family, I've been married 30 years. I've got 3 children and 1 pug. Who I should show you a picture that my daughter. A picture of something my daughter did last week. I got home for Black Friday, and it's a little black pug, and she had gone out and gotten a camo vest for it, which you can't put lipstick on a pig, you know what I'm saying? In terms of other interests, running, I've been a runner for my whole life. Golf, which I love, but I'm not very good at. Writing, and then certainly I'm an avid reader. Just to give you a sense of some of the recent accomplishments professionally, and I want to start by saying that, you know, if you've been at a university for any period of time, no one person is responsible for an accomplishment. It's a team effort, and so all of these accomplishments I have listed up here are certainly things that I've played a significant role in, but I've also had the good fortune of working with a great team of colleagues and people that work for me in making these things happen, without which that's not going to happen. I've had the fortune to be involved with some significant strategic planning and campus master planning efforts. We're in the midst right now of doing a very comprehensive administrative information technology modernization effort, which, as I've talked to many people around here, you're at the cusp of getting into, and so I feel your pain. Worked very closely with my colleague, the provost, on a number of initiatives there at Illinois State. Worked with her to increase funding for both merit and need-based scholarships. We, as we looked at our competition for our student population, it was pretty evident that we were woefully inadequate on the merit merit side in terms of competing with the institutions that we're competing with, the Iowas, the Missous, the Illinois of the world. So again, as enrollment becomes much more competitive, that's certainly something that we need to remain focused on. I've worked with the Provost Office to create a Center for Research where we can really bring together the pre- and post-award budgeting activities, as we brought in an outside entity to review our research and sponsored programs, and that was one of the things that became very evident, was that we were creating a lot of difficulties for ourselves by not spending enough time on the pre-award side in terms of developing budgets than when we got to the post-award trying to implement those projects. So again, we're working together on that. Financing and construction of the Nursing Clinical Simulation Lab. Been involved with a lot of different capital financing efforts at the university, including a pretty significant public-private partnership, a $60 million student housing complex, football stadium renovation, and then again, most recently, we're in the midst of working with the town of Normal, which is where we reside, on a plan to relocate the university art galleries to a new multimodal transportation and government center that will make it much more visible. In terms of my managerial style, as I mentioned early on, no one person is able to accomplish everything. It takes a team approach, certainly when you're in the kinds of roles that this position will be in. So again, in terms of how I go about developing a team, I look for complementary strengths and abilities among my colleagues and staff. I will sound like a broken record. I've said this over and over. I'm a very collegial and consultative individual. Again, I believe philosophically, I believe that's the right approach in a university environment. But practically speaking, I've seen enough examples of where people are not like that, and it doesn't work, and ultimately chaos ensues. I'm a very planful and analytical person. I like to use data to make decisions. That doesn't mean that I can't take advantage in a short period of time of an opportunity, but generally speaking, I like to think through how we're going to go about doing things, look at the data, and come to a decision on the right way to do things. I really try to encourage entrepreneurial thinking and actions among my staff and colleagues. Get outside the box and say, you know, why are we doing this the way that we've always been doing it? Is there a different way that we can approach a problem? Is there a different way that we can solve an issue for somebody? I mean, for me, that's really the fun part of this job, is to create, you know, the opportunity to be creative, the opportunity to help people solve a problem and think through. And again, you know, sometimes those approaches don't always work out. That's okay. That's the way things work out sometimes. Sometimes they don't. But again, I want to encourage people to at least take risks in a responsible way. I'm a very goal-focused and task-oriented individual. You have to be in these jobs to make sure that the trains continue to run on time and that you can accomplish what you need to accomplish. But at the same time, I try to keep my eye on the big picture and not get bogged down necessarily in all the details, because what you find then is that's all you're focused on. I am not a micromanager. Given the scope of and breadth of responsibilities in this job and in similar jobs that I've been involved with, and Bob, I'm sure, can speak to this, you cannot physically do it, and you've got to hire very competent people and give them the room to do their jobs, but you need to hold them accountable. And then finally, I've got a very good sense of humor, and I think it's critical in a job like this. We were talking earlier at lunch. Some of the things that we see and do and have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, you cannot make up. And because of that, you've just got to keep a good sense of humor, you know. And my colleagues and I always talk about, if we had the time, we'd be writing a book and keeping a diary of some of the things. The names would be withheld to protect the innocent, of course. Just in terms of some of the challenges, as I've gotten to know more about LSU and this position and what I think you're looking for, certainly a challenge is going to be you know, achieving the LSU 2015 priorities that I've seen in your transition report and realizing the vision that's set forth. It's a very ambitious vision and a very ambitious set of priorities. Resources are everybody's challenge, and that's not going to get any easier. That doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to be able to do things, but we're going to have to think about doing things in a somewhat different way. This is going to be key to the future of the university, competition for faculty, staff, and students. And along with that, the retention of those folks when you get them here, because that's what you're going to build the excellence of the university on. And then finally, skeptical public. And this is not just in Louisiana. This is everywhere. People look at the investment required. Parents look at what the investment is required to send their children to college, and they wonder, is it worth it? And I think one of the challenges for all of public higher education going forward is showing, yes, it is worth it. And here's why. It's worth it not just for your personal benefits, it's worth it for the greater societal good. Opportunities. Start with where I began on the last one. I think there's some real opportunities that are laid out. There are some great ideas that have been put forth, and I think the challenge is going to be deciding which one of those what of those you focus on first, and how do you go about implementing them in a successful manner. I think almost more than anything else, an opportunity for LSU is the statewide reach of the university. No other university in this state has the breadth and the scope of reach that you have, and I think that is key. When I was at Wisconsin, one of the ideas that was always thrown around, and it had been there for many years, was something called the Wisconsin idea. And basically, shortly, to cut to the quick, what the Wisconsin idea was the boundaries of the university or the boundaries of the state. And so they really saw the purpose of the university in terms of working hand in hand with the state to address state issues, state priorities, but it was a mutual relationship. It wasn't just a one-way relationship. And again, I think no other university is certainly in this state is positioned to do that better than LSU. Related with that is the breadth and depth of the enterprise. Again, no other university in this state has the breadth of programs and services and research initiatives that you have here. Economic development goes along with that. Again, we talked a little bit about having the statewide reach, and I think there's some real opportunities. Some of them were pointed out in the transition document, areas of focus that could be focused on going forward. And then finally, the LSU brand. Again, there's one LSU, and I think because you've got the statewide reach that you do, you really have, I think, the university has a real opportunity to make a mark statewide and get people to see LSU as the resource that it really is for the state. Okay, in terms of the initial priorities, if selected, first and foremost is building relationships and trust, because without that, nothing that this job is going to be required to do is going to be able to happen in an effective manner. So really, I think building relationships both inside LSU and with the key external constituencies is going to be important. Listening and asking questions. I would ask a lot of questions. I would do a lot of listening to what people had to say. That's just, again, part of developing an understanding. Develop a sense of the priorities and the objectives. Again, there are a lot of priorities that are outlined in the transition report, and determining, what are the highest priorities for the university, and where are we right now in implementing some of those priorities. And then also get to know LSU and Louisiana. Again, I'm an Illinois native. I already know I like the food here quite a bit. I like the weather. But again, given the role of this position, I would certainly see spending a lot of time on this campus, out and about, getting to know folks, out at the other institutions, getting to know folks, and having them get to know me. So, in summation, first, I think, but before I go into this, I really do want to say this is an extraordinarily exciting and unique opportunity. And I'm not going to stand here and say that there aren't a lot of challenges that are involved with it. I know there are. I like challenges. I like problem solving. And again, this certainly, but I like problem solving with the potential of doing some good. So I think that is encompassed in this opportunity. I covered some of my experiences. I think they're all very pertinent to what this position will be doing. As I said before, I'm a very collaborative and collegial individual, and this position is going to take that to make it work. I think I've got demonstrated ability to get things done, and again, creative problem solver, high level of integrity. I think, again, along with developing trust, if you don't have integrity and credibility, you're not able to get anything done. Nobody will work with you. And then again, finally, just given where I've been in my career, I have a deep understanding and appreciation of the mission and really the potential of an institution like LSU. Again, as I said, I think the university, at least as I see, is poised to do some really great things going forward. I think, certainly you can't help what the economy is, but I think certainly things are looking up from what I understand. And again, I think it's a very potentially, we're going to be entering a very exciting time here, and frankly, I would like to be a part of that.